I've been looking for a house with no walls or no whispers, no hiding places, no secret sister. Been looking for a house that won't shelter a lie, no tear-stained past or reason to cry. I wanna live, live, live in a house of love.
Greetings. This is Empowering Women Everywhere. I am your host, Nan Gill, and today our guest is Christine Rolando. She's the Executive Director of Orange Literacy, and we're very happy to have you here today, Christine.
Thank you, Nan. It's good to see you, and I appreciate you having me.
We're just really happy to have you here to tell us all about your great programs and what you're doing. So you want to tell us a little bit about what Literacy Orange is and what you're up to?
Sure. Well, just so you understand, literacy, most people think of Literacy Orange, they'll know it by Literacy Volunteers. So, because we changed our name a few years ago, about 8 years ago. So, Literacy Volunteers is an agency. We're not-for-profit. We're a 501c3. And what we do is we work with adults, and we teach them how to read.
Now, how many people would you estimate in the county don't know how to read now?
Too many. It's 1 in 5 adults in the Orange County alone that read below a 4th grade reading level.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, it's frightening. It's really frightening.
And what programs do you have available?
Oh, we have lots of different programs, but our primary program, our staple, is we do, well, let me back up. Adults aren't always so prone to pick up the phone or to raise their hand or walk to the door and say, hey, I can't read. It's very embarrassing, and they don't feel good sometimes about it. So
it does have a stigma, but really, if you were never taught how to read, how would you know?
Exactly. So our main program that we do is one-on-one tutoring. So our students are matched with an adult tutor, and we train our tutors. And once we train our tutors, then we match them with the student, and they meet once a week for an hour or so, and then we ask for a year commitment from them.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if somebody doesn't know how to read and they're an adult, they can just call your office, and it's all confidential.
Correct. It's all confidential.
And they can learn how to read.
Yes, and they can learn how to do other things. Sometimes it's something as simple as reading a child's homework, or, helping their child with their homework, or reading a book to their child. Like things like that. I mean, just think about it. If you went down the street and you couldn't read a street sign.
Yeah. It would be dangerous.
Yeah, and it's dangerous, and it costs taxpayers a ton of money when we have people that can't read their medicine bottles or their instructions.
Right.
So
is this a free service?
Yeah, this is a free service. We don't charge our readers, our learners at all.
Okay. And you work with volunteers to teach?
We do work with volunteers, and a lot of our volunteers are actually retired teachers.
Okay.
So the pool of tutors or volunteers are highly educated. Many of them have master's degrees and above. So it's pretty, a knowledgeable group of people that know how to teach. But I'll back up. If you don't have to have a master's or a teaching degree to be a volunteer either. You can just say, hey, I'm a willing person, because
you just want to help.
Yes, and we will train them how to do that.
Good. How long is the training?
Training is, well, actually that's a good question, because the training, I was just telling somebody before I came here, the training used to be 26 hours.
Wow.
And we've streamlined it now down to approximately 12 hours. So especially when, the orientation and the other piece, we've kind of condensed some of those things, because it's very difficult sometimes to get someone to be able to commit to 22 Saturdays and 2 long nights,
Right.
So, and we also are fortunate because we've been able to put it online now. So if someone wanted to do the training through the comfort of their own home, they could.
Right, so if you're a retired teacher or just someone who's retired or someone maybe that's working part-time and you want
We
to
need
participate
you.
and,
We do.
and volunteer and become involved with a great bunch of people that are doing great things in the county, just give Christine a call. What's the best number to reach you?
Oh,
Okay.
845-341-5460. That's 845-341-5460.
And that's the same number to call if you want somebody to help you.
Correct.
And you don't have to not know how to read at all. If you just know, you need help or you need to, some extra practice with reading or something like that.
Yeah, sometimes people will call and we're on some website because I probably get 3 or 4 phone calls a week, them saying, hello, do you teach GED? So although we don't, and they don't even call it GED anymore, it's the high school equivalency,
Right.
but we don't actually teach that. But let's just say a student's preparing to take that high school equivalency.
Right.
And they go into that class, they sign up and they say, oh my, this is very, very difficult.
Right.
That's when they would call us. And we would help them with a tutor, matching them with a tutor.
Right. So this is a free service. You don't have to not know how to read at all. If you want to go and get your GED or you want to go on with your studies and you didn't get that learning when you were in high school or in the regular school system, you can actually learn how to read sufficiently to be able to take college courses.
Exactly.
Yeah. So it's a
Exactly.
great program, and being involved with the other volunteers is something to lighten your day.
Yeah, it's rewarding. As the tutors always say, they make lifetime friends with their students. It's lifetime for some of them. And, some of our learners are from other countries. Some of our learners are right here as our neighbors. And you never know. You never know. And next time you go into a library or you go into perhaps a diner and you see 2 adults, maybe with a book in front of them, that's probably what they're doing. They're working together to learn
That's
to
really
read.
cool.
Yeah.
Now, do you work with children as well?
We don't work with children primarily. If the student is 16 years old and out of school,
Right.
then we can service them. But if they're still in the school system, we're not able to service them.
Okay.
And that has to do with our funding streams and our accountability, because
Right.
we are required under New York State education to test our learners, pre-test and post-test, and show educational gain. And now with the way things are changing, the benchmarks being higher, we actually have to track our students, and job placement is
Right.
critical. So it's very scary right now for all the literacy volunteers across the country to say, how are we going to do this? Because the
Right.
benchmarks are higher and our learners are sometimes not going to make that kind of gain, nor perhaps get a job. Or we can track them to see if they did get a job.
Right. Well, I really think that system has to be reversed.
I'm with you.
Because it's like saying everyone's watching TV and playing video games, and let's blame the teachers for the kids not learning.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
it just doesn't make sense.
Doesn't make sense to me
So-
either. And I hate to say this, but no child left behind. Well, guess what? Some of them didn't get left behind, and what happened is they dropped out.
Right.
And now they're adults, and they're walking through my door or a literacy door and saying, hey, can you help me? I can't read.
Yeah.
And it's kind of scary and embarrassing, like I said earlier, embarrassing for them,
Right.
you know.
How do you get your funding?
Oh, I beg. I beg. I just
Okay.
came from county executive's office asking our county for money. We do get some funding from New York State Education.
Okay.
Private donations. We do fundraisers. You know how it is. You do fundraisers, and we don't do bake sales, but we, like, give you an example. One year we did a golf tournament, but after a while they got a little old. There were a lot of them, so you have to always be creative for your
Right.
events and your fundraisers.
Okay. Are your
Yeah.
fundraising events fun?
Of course, they're fun. We have a horse jumping fundraiser. What else gets better than that? We have it's a project, and it's called the Journey or Not.
Okay.
And it's actually held in New Jersey, because I'm a horse person, so
Okay.
I'm very much involved in the horse world. And
Do you have a horse?
unfortunately, no. My husband and I have decided we don't need a horse right now. But I actually manage a horse because Literacy Orange has a horse. And
Oh,
we have a horse that's literally jumping around on behalf of a cause for literacy.
wow.
And her name
That
is Sati
cool.
de la Viole. She's from France.
Say it again.
Sati de la Viole,
Okay.
and that means aristocrat. And she thinks she's an aristocrat.
Well, she probably
She is, and she's really beautiful. But she's jumping around raising awareness for a cause. So what we have is we do a horse show. It's called the Journey or Not Charity Relay. And what we do is we have a professional rider ride. It's a team, so professional and amateur. And one does the jumping, the power piece of the course, and then jumps off the horse, and the next one gets on and does the speed piece.
Oh,
And it's so much fun, and it's a great attraction for people, spectators, to come out and watch. And last year we had the little Miss New Jerseys. They were cute little princesses. They came and helped me pin the class, and yeah, so it's
Cool.
very exciting, and it raises money
right.
for literacy.
Okay, so if somebody wants to be involved in the fundraising events that are fun, they can just go on your website and see what's coming up and what's upcoming. And
Yeah, they're up there, and it's www.literacyorangeny.org.
Okay, very good. Now, how did you get started? Where did you go to school? And tell us a little bit about your literacy travels here.
Okay, so I haven't always loved to read. I always loved animals. So I always thought growing up, I loved horses my whole life, and I loved to be around animals, and always thought I'd be a vet or somehow be involved with the horses and the animals. And I'll fast forward, but I opened up a horse business when I was younger, and I got very much involved in believe it or not, I'm a horse appraiser. That's something I've been doing for 36 years. So
Okay.
I've been horse appraising for many, many years, and I went to Centenary College to have an equine degree from Centenary, and then I went off to Penn State and it was called a Visitor Students Program, and I was there, and I was on their horse judging team as an animal science major, thinking I may pursue my veterinary science degree.
Right.
And then I'll even fast forward again further along those lines. I didn't pursue my veterinary degree, but I went off and got married. You know how that goes, and
I
you
know
have
how that
children,
goes.
and when my children were little, what I realized is that it was actually my sister realized this, that my son was having a tough time reading.
Right.
You know, at about 2.5, 3, and I went and had him tested once he got into school and found out that he had a learning disability. And he had he was dyslexic. So it was very challenging, very, very bright, high IQ.
Right.
But it was a processing issue. And I, at that time, was the director of a not-for-profit for horses, Therapeutic Riding Center, right here locally in Orange County, New
Right.
York. And we were one of the
In
first
Warwick,
in
right?
Warwick.
Winslow?
I was
Yeah.
the director of Winslow. We were one of the first in the country. And I always knew it was easier for me to, I've always been a riding instructor. I could teach a child how to count on a horse
Right.
because it's vestibular movement. It's like you're getting that into them from a different way,
Right.
sensory. So I had another child. My daughter came along 2.5 years later, and as my daughter went into school, she was dyslexic. So,
It's
being-
just a matter of processing information.
processing information, extremely high IQ, so it's
Right.
very challenging because your child is presenting as no learning issues because their IQ is so high.
Right.
However, I did what any good parent would do: figure out, meet with the professionals, get
Right.
independent evals, etc. And through that course, I've learned a lot of different modalities to teach reading.
Okay.
So that's how I got involved with literacy, and it's a kind of a
Okay, modalities to teach reading.
Yeah.
Want to go a little bit into that?
Sure. Well, we can talk about sensory issues, right? So there's different programs that you can use if you can't hear the sound, or phonetically you're not getting it. maybe I can teach you the letter C by tactile.
Okay.
By going, C-A-T, cat, or using my,
Right.
making a C in the sand. So again, it's just using different sensory inputs to teach lessons. It's like
Right.
life learning, using different sensory
Right.
integration.
Well, people all learn differently.
They do. And we all can't sit in a classroom and
No.
listen to a lecture.
And you have to kind of see whether or not the person that you're speaking to is actually comprehending what you're saying in a way that you're saying it.
What did you say? No.
I think a lot of people, get angry at other people because they tell them something and that person is totally not hearing what they're saying.
Oh, you mean when I say to my husband, "Aren't you listening?"
Kind of like that.
"Well, I'm doing this," and I said, "So."
Well, you have to remember that. If you're going to speak to somebody, you have to look at them
I
straight
said,
in the
"Can you
eye.
please look at me when I talk?" Right? Or at least right
Exactly.
here.
Right. Okay,
Yeah.
so you've gotten different
So
ways
I was learning different
Right.
ways to get. I would
to
have.
reach your children.
I would have things on my kitchen cupboards, here's the rules of the English language and all.
Right.
And they were getting better and better and better at it. And
Okay.
so as a parent is how I first learned. And then as a parent going through the school district,
Right.
learning how to kind of speak on behalf of my children's needs of what they needed.
Right.
So that was kind of the way it went, and again, I'm fast forwarding because this time goes back, but I did leave Winslow, and I went into corporate world for about a year, and I didn't love it. I didn't love it because I had a commute, and my daughter was 13 and needed
Yeah.
her mother. So I had a Warwick board member ask me if I was interested in being the director of an agency called Literacy. And I said no. And I went on my interview, and I got out of the car, and I stepped in a puddle of water, knee high, and I
Oh,
said,
my
"This
Lord.
is a sign. I'm not taking this job." And then I went to Newburgh to meet with the other board, because at that time there was Literacy East and Literacy West.
Okay.
Two separate agencies. We were the only county in New York State that had two agencies.
yeah.
2 directors, 2 boards. And I went to visit with that board.
And there was no puddle.
I think it was a blizzard. So I said, "Oh, there's another sign." I came home and told my husband, "I'm not taking that job. I'm not taking that job. There's no way." And something from above said, "Christine, you will." I said, "Okay." So I said, "I'm coming, but I'm only coming for 5 years." And that was 8.5 years later. So I'm
Okay.
still there. And
Yeah.
it's a blessing. There's struggles like any not-for-profit. But it is
Yeah.
rewarding.
Well, very good. It's exciting to find out how people follow their nose and actually end up somewhere, even if they do step in a puddle.
Yeah, and like I looked back and the trainings, the things that I learned
Right.
were, I
Along
might not
the
have a
way.
master's in education, but you know what? I had a lot of personal experience in street training and from that area
Right.
to bring into what my learners or our learners face
Right.
in the world of being looked down upon because they can't read.
So definitely, if you are an adult and over 16 and you're struggling with reading, there is a number to call and the assistance is there. It's free, so why not take advantage? Or if you want to volunteer to work with these wonderful people, and that number is?
Is 845-341-5460. That's 845-341-5460.
Very good. And check out her website for all her upcoming events, which is?
LiteracyOrangeNY.org. So it's LiteracyOrangeNY.org.
Okay. So now basically there's a lot of other projects that you're involved with.
Oh.
So I thought maybe we'd take some time to talk about some of them.
Sure.
Okay. So what's your favorite one?
Oh, I don't know if the horse project is really, I love it because that project stemmed from people feeling inadequate. And my daughter actually drew this little, we call him Journey. He's a little horsey looking character. So it stemmed from children being looked upon differently because this little horse is very different.
Right.
He's very upright in his pasterns. He's got a sway back. He's got a short little tail. And it came from being, embarrassed as a different type of learner. So it's a whole project which started maybe almost 5 years ago, that birthed the idea. So now to see that to come to fruition through people, through the horse show, and people jumping around on behalf of a cause to raise funds, and people stopping and saying, wow, I didn't know 1 in 5 adults in our county can't read. I had no idea. So, like, we're in a different world. When you go to a horse show, it's a different world than the streets of, where my office is in downtown Middletown.
Right.
So I go into a whole nother world of people that they're saying, I can't believe there's 38 million people in the United States that are illiterate. You're kidding me. How does that happen?
Yeah.
So that project is kind of a different approach.
Okay. So this little horse, what's his name?
His name is Journey.
Journey.
His name is Journey. Yeah, he's not real yet, but someday, kind of the vision is to have perhaps a contest of the real Journey coming to fruition. So
well, you could do like kids drawing.
Yeah, right.
Like have a drawing contest.
Well, we're working on a book right now.
Okay.
Working on a book with him, and I can't tell all the secrets, but I finally found the illustrator.
Okay.
To work on this book. So
Good.
I've actually met with her twice so far, and she's started the storyboards.
Now you have another project that I know about, which is called SOAR.
SOAR, yeah. SOAR is a women's conference. So we do it every other year, and it stemmed from similar to this project. Women, not that men can't join us, of course, but the opportunity for women to come together, spend 2 days together, and do some self-development and learning from a variety of different presenters.
Now, you had one last year. You want to tell
did.
us what kind of programs you had?
A woman her name is Debbie Dickinson. And some people might know who Debbie Dickinson is because Debbie Dickinson was a very, very famous model. And I didn't realize this until till someone introduced me to her, that there weren't always supermodels. So I said, what do you mean she was one of the first supermodels? So
Oh, okay.
she was one of the first supermodels, and she was on Vogue, and she was in Europe, and she was on there's a famous picture of her with Christy Brinkley. She showed it at the event, and it was the symmetry of the two of them laying on lounge chairs at this pool.
Right.
And apparently that was I think it was on the cover of Vogue, perhaps. But she spoke about the challenge of being a woman in the industry that she was in,
Right.
and then she, of course, she retired from her modeling days, but she moved into marketing, and she has a marketing agency.
Right.
So she was another one of our speakers. So we had some really cool people.
So you have a lot of projects
A lot of projects, yeah.
that are going
Yeah,
on.
all good though. All
Cool.
good, yeah.
So, you said something about your son and about the work that you're doing with brain injury.
Yes.
You want to tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. Well, as I was saying, my son was very, very bright, and in junior year, we were fortunate enough with someone introduced me. He played football for Warwick. Struggled academically, but played football, was an incredible athlete. And he had an opportunity to go to Fort Union Military Academy, which is in Virginia. So he got to play football. And it was even a postgraduate school for like Plexico Berez, I think that's how you say it, from the Giants, Eddie George. So it was this really interesting school. But what happened was when Ryan went to this all-boys prep school in Virginia, he excelled because it was one subject semester for 6 weeks. And so they delved into history for 6 weeks deep. It was a very small classroom, small ratio, and he had to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and make his bed in 6 minutes and shine his shoes and hang the flag, So that military experience, I always remember him saying to me, Mom, you drove me to the backwoods of Virginia and you dropped me off and left me there. So,
and you did.
I did. And you couldn't talk to them for, I think, 3 weeks. You couldn't talk to them.
Oh, wow.
But it was really a great experience for him. Came home one weekend and drove a motorcycle down our driveway to sell it because he hadn't even been riding it much, and he crashed at the end of our driveway
Oh my Lord.
on his 21st birthday. And unfortunately, he broke his back, and he had what's called a TBI, a traumatic brain injury. And it was a dreadful experience.
So you work with the brain injury recovery, right?
I do. I work with the Brain Injury Association of New York, and this year we're going to do the walk over the Hudson as we have in the past. We have a team, and where Ryan, my son, now that he's a painter, is providing these cool little lions. They're like his logo, because one of the things with Ryan was, remember, he was the social kid in Warwick. He was Ryan would think nothing about wearing, a blue sock and a red sock and switching out his clothes, and then all the kids would follow him.
Right.
But things changed after this accident. He
Right.
says, I'm not going out. That happened for a while.
Wow.
So, kind of clicked. So he made this lion, and this lion is all about courage and encouragement,
Right.
and about you can do it. So it's his gift to the Brain Injury Association. They're going to be in all the bags. And my daughter, Macaulay, is going to run on their team for the New York City Marathon this year. So
Very
a
cool.
lot of good stuff.
There's a lot of good stuff happening.
Yeah.
So if you want to get in touch with Christine and find out more about everything that she's involved with, just give her a call. Her number is...
I'm going to give a different number just in case.
Okay.
845-494-6257 for that project. It's 845-494-6257.
So become involved, whether it's with Literacy Orange or with the Brain Injury Association of New York, or just become involved with Empowering Women Everywhere. Go to EmpoweringWomenEverywhere.tv and sign up for basic membership is free, or you can sign up for more advanced membership and follow us on Twitter at EmpowerWomenTV.
I've been looking for a house with no walls or no whispers, no hiding places, no secret sister. Been looking for a house that won't shelter a lie, no tear-stained past or reason to cry. I wanna live in a house of love. I wanna live.
When you're looking for the emotion in the monologue, that's where you look.
You are a dog. This is my toothbrush. I brush my teeth with it. You don't because you are a dog.
You want to make the move so that it's a natural move. It's not going to be something like, oh, I'm getting out of his way just so I can find my space in the camera.